CLT is how timber buildings are being built in Europe properly now. Okay, you can ask Tessa, who's the architect in Arab. It is what they are most interested in being part of in terms of the future of net zero buildings in South Africa. But they, as Novatop, are up against some highly, big corporate companies that sort of version of CLT is designed to give you an architectural finish from the get-go. Okay, you can get it in different grades, but from the get-go you're getting an architectural finish on your material, so you can use it as an internal finish. The Stora Enso, but generally with CLT construction, what the guys are aiming at producing is actually core construction, and this is what you have to understand. Okay, when you're building in CLT, you are making a core structural system first out of CLT. HWZ does allow you to use it as a finishing material because the quality of the material is superior, okay, of the surface finish. However, the way Europe perceives this is a core structure. Okay, generally they're putting a layer of board on the face of it, stuck straight on, and they're putting a painted finish on it or something else. So you don't necessarily see CLT in a building, and this is what I really like about it, because you're building in a material, in a base material, but you are not being, your technology does not force your aesthetic. So as an architect, it's a very interesting thing. You're not being bound by the look of your building, by the methodology of construction. So there's an ability to make it look like it doesn't look like wood. Okay. The other thing, and I really hope Milan can show this to you, is how adaptable this construction system is. If any of you went to the wood conference 2 years ago, they made a large sculpture of a skier at where was, anyway? St. Moritz. And it was for some Winter Olympic thing, but there's literally a human figure about 10, 15 meters high, and it was made out of faceted, you know how that sort of graphic thing, that kind of cool graphic style that people have got. And so essentially it was what was the word I used earlier? Okay.
There we go.
That kind of
Who's so smart?
like the Zaha that did
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Check. What up? So now this thing's huge. Maybe there's a human somewhere in this picture. But so you are able to make any kind of form. So you can do this kind of like wobbly architecture thing that's so hip and cool these days. Fair enough. But what this is demonstrating is the complete adaptability, because how's it made? Okay, so when you're designing a house in this methodology, you are working, like Clara said, in full conjunction with the company who are dealing with the delivery of the structure from the get-go. You're not an architect sitting designing something and then giving it to a QS who's costing it, and then taking it out to tender and getting a price, and then you're actually from sketch design phase, when you have a working model, sending it over to Novatop, who are giving you a response saying, structurally, here's some choices, this will cost more than this, and secondly, here's an estimate of what that aspect of the building is going to cost. Going back to what you need to remember, Novatop is a core structural system. Okay? Finishes, both external and internal, are not necessarily part of the contract. However, Clara's business, which is HWZ International, offer the add-on service of supplying external cladding, doors and windows, internal finishes, and things like that. So you can get in the container that the building is delivered in everything you need to basically put the house together. And you can choose your insulations, they have their range, what works. Okay, you're going to ask, how ecological is it to import a construction system? How good is it for the economy to build it? My version of that is, firstly, we have to start this economy somewhere. Okay, we've got to adapt. Engineered timber is probably the best way, it's definitely the best way to deal with the kind of plantation trees we have in this country. When I spoke to Michael Green, who's the foremost leading mass timber architect, and just write this down, mass timber construction. Okay, because that's what you need to Google if you want to see what this type of construction methodology is called on the interwebs. Okay? He said Seligna is a really good option for CLT and for engineered woods. We've got a diminishing market for timber in this country because we're printing less paper in the world. So, and we need to start looking at how we're going to bring more timber into the construction industry, and the quality and type of wood that we get is far better suited to engineered timber products. The glues are moving away from the formaldehyde bases into organic bases, and what I would hope is that we could grow a market enough to actually start making it viable to be clipping on engineered timber fabrication systems onto the end of our sawmills in South Africa and bringing in engineered woods into the South African market locally made. HWZ might not like what I'm saying about this, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to make your choices. The market grows is always good for everybody. And I know this. But, okay, going back. So you have, like, technically what you have is full support. In actual fact, who you're dealing with from the beginning of the job is the person who's going to come onto site and erect the thing for you and take responsibility for it. And this is what I also like as an architect, is I have the full support of the delivery team. They're giving me the engineering solutions. They're putting a human being on site to build the building for me. And the deal that we have with them is that person for person, a South African will be trained with every person that they bring out. So, and the idea is to have a skills transfer to a point where they would only bring out one person and there would be teams in South Africa. So we're growing the skills, we're developing the skills in South Africa to deliver this methodology. And hopefully we develop the market enough so that it can become an even more localized market. Too much more to say. I think that's about all I want to say.
And how long is the training actually for the guys? How many weeks or how many months?
Well, we sort of figure it would take about 5 to 10 builds. But because look, the build period is quick. What you need to realize is when you're building in the Novatop system, once you're at foundation level and you're coming in and you are then erecting the building, it takes them 3 days to erect the core structure of one of these buildings. You'll see in this video, this building, including finishes and fixtures, took 23 days to build from slab level of the garage. Okay? So if you look at it on a commercial basis, your developer is getting a far quicker return on investment. The other thing is, as an architect, what I find most difficult is let's say you're going to take a year to build a building like this, which is very feasible. There's so many slips that can happen along the way. There's so many delays that can happen along the way, and there are so many, opportunities for change and loss of control. The thing that frustrates me most about being an architect these days is I have very little control of the outcome, actually. Without being on site and completely managing the thing, it's quite a frustrating process. And even though you might write a site instruction to say, not happy, the client may well go, you know what, I'm going to accept that because I want this flippin' thing finished. Okay? And very often it does boil down to that. As much as you want your architecture to be your art form, there are a whole lot of other role players in the game. This is nothing. No. that come in. So even though you might want that wall rebuilt, the client might say, you know what, I don't mind it. Like, tell the builder to finish the frickin' job. Maybe I'll ask for a discount. Okay? So, whereas with this methodology, you're essentially going to deliver your model. If any of you have had experience on CNC production, laser cutting, if you make your models that way, and what you draw on your computer is what you get on the output. If you know how to govern that thing and put it together, you're going to get the thing how you want it. In the planning stage, you're positioning your plug points, you're routing your pipe points, and they are built into this. When they make a wall at Novatop, it comes to you this thick. But when they make it in 2 halves. Okay? What they're actually doing in the factory is they're routering out all your conduiting routes. On the one face, they're cutting your plug hole. When that panel comes to site, that switch is there, that plug is there, that switch is there, that tap is there. This piece of wood is delivered. The conduits are in it. It's placed in the wall. The electrician pulls the wire through. It takes them a day. Okay? There's no chasing, and there's no wastage on site. There's no mess on site. By the time the client's walked on site, the building's up, the doors are going in, and they can't change anything. It really does put the control of the product much more firmly in the hands of the architects. than it does in anybody else. So it's for me as a person who designs a very high level of detail in my architecture. I want really clean, neat finishes. I want accuracy. There is very little room for interpretation. And that is really nice. You can see in this building, it's not whether you like the style of the building or not. You can see that this building is accurate, it's true, it's clean. The other thing is, finally, is the integration of services and insulation into buildings like this. They work together. So what you must understand about timber architecture, I'm nearly done, is it breathes, it transpires. Okay, so the moisture, so let's say, you know what, like we don't really get it in South Africa as much as we get in Europe, but you've got an internal temperature and an external temperature. And so you get a thermal gradient through the wall. And what can happen in a wall is a dew point occurs within the construction of the wall. Okay, firstly, the engineers who support you on the European side do that calculation for you. In fact, if you want a 50 decibel reduction from this room to that room, they will design the wall to suit you that way. You completely are designing thermal, acoustic transfer, everything as you are designing the building. I'm doing a spa at the moment, and I want silent booths where people are getting treatments in them, and I've used the HWZ products to build the walls because they're offering me the greatest acoustic stability. Okay, but if you go through their catalogs and what's available on their website, you can see the details that are offered for, like, if you want 46 decibel reduction, you can construct your wall this way. If you want 52 decibel reduction, you can construct it that way. And if you go through the website and look at the downloads, all of that information is there. There is massive technical support. And then the team of engineers can assist you in that level of design. But that's obviously when you're in, I don't think we're expecting that kind of detail in this building. What we're looking at is a contextual response, an understanding of timber construction, taking massive advantages to the flexibility, to the lightweightness, to the material, to the thermal stability, to all those things that this type of construction offers you. So when they build these buildings, it's quite specific about the kind of materials you can use on your internal and external finishes, because the wall can transpire. So your paints and your finishes on your walls actually have to be breathable. Okay, the kinds of skins you use on your surfaces, water needs to be able to pass all the way through this wall in terms of vapor, and it does. So what that means is you're not getting mold buildup, damp buildup in your walls, and the environment is more healthy. Also, you're getting a high level of control over the performance of your insulations, and you can have much more thermally stable buildings.